Hey, are objections evil? Many agents hate objections and they always try to, get away from objections or they view objections with fear. Hi, my name is Yasser Khan and I'm the author of Property Agent Secrets book, which is the most powerful book in the real estate industry, guaranteed. So, today I'm going to be talking about objections, and usually objections about objection right is a natural process of the sale, right? And I teach my agents, I teach my coaching members that objections are an agent's best friends. Seriously, there's nothing, absolutely nothing at all that you have to fear about objection. Seriously, because without objection you would not know what is it that the prospect, what is it that the client is facing, what kind of issues that are hidden. You will never know, because naturally human beings, we are not mind readers, we don't read minds, right? We don't have that ability to read somebody's unspoken words, right? So that is where objections come in. Objections tell you what the prospect is hiding inside his mind. Remember, prospects and salesmen, remember that there's always a game going on, right? And you as a realtor, right, you as a salesman, right, you are trying to sell them something, which is a house, right? And they are the prospect, they are playing games with you. So it's a natural process of, selling is like a dance, right? So the prospect says something, the seller has to do something else, and the prospect throws an objection, seller has to cover the objection and answer it conclusively, right? So selling is actually a dance, right? So the thing about objection is that it's not a bad thing, it's actually a good thing. So use objection to learn, to improve your sales, right? To actually understand what is it that the prospect have in their mind, what unspoken stuff, right? So I would rather take a prospect who has objection over another prospect who has no objection at all. Why is that? Because somebody with no objection at all is not a prospect at all. Seriously, right? If I don't have an objection, right? Let's say I got an objection to buying an iPhone, right? Then I am potentially a buyer of an iPhone, right? Because I got an objection, right? So I think maybe the objection is too expensive. So that is an objection that I have. Now it's Apple's job to convince me, right, that my objection, whether it's valid or not valid. All right. So but if somebody doesn't even have any objection at all, then definitely he's not in the business to buy, obviously, right? So that should tell you something. So use objections, right? Turn objections around. So the best way to answer any objection is not to answer the objection that is being asked by the agent, by the prospect, right? So when prospect says, right, something is too expensive or the price is too expensive, right, what you should be asking, right? Many agents make the mistake of saying how expensive, and that tells the prospect that okay, that what they have just said is valid, that yeah, it is expensive. So the best way to answer the objection that it is expensive is not to ask them how expensive. Instead, what do you mean by expensive? What is that? Why did you say that? So you ask this kind of question, shoot back the objection back at them. So my number one rule to answer any objection out there is to counter back the objection, but gently. Use a gentle tone, use a nicer tone. All right. So instead of being defensive, instead of being angry, you should be professional. Seriously, you have to maintain your professional cool, you have to maintain your professional calm. Don't sound needy, all right? And one of the ways to sound needy is actually not to answer the it's to actually answer the objection with wrong answers, stuff like, for example, if someone asks you this is so expensive and you answer back how expensive, that actually that's the wrong way to answer the objection. So the number one strategy, the number one method, the number one tactic to correctly answer any objection, whatever it is, doesn't matter, right? Any objection. So the best way is to ask them back, throw the question back at them, but throw it gently, use a nice tone. So for example, let's say, let me give you an example, right? So somebody asks you, right, early on, one of the objection, of course, has to do with pricing, right? So the prospect say maybe the pricing is too expensive, and you counter back, what's their budget, what kind of budget are they looking for, what kind of pricing do they have in mind, right? Or what do they mean by expensive, and you ask them which means what, right? So your goal in a sales scenario is never to give away too much information. Yes, you can give information, but keep the information only until you have qualified prospects. Information is only for qualified prospects, right? It's not for prospect, not for suspect. Suspect means that you don't know whether it's a prospect or not. Example, someone who got zero objection to your question, who got zero objection, right? That's a suspect. That's not a prospect, right? So how do you qualify? You qualify somebody by asking them question, right? How serious they are, do they have certain money set aside, is there enough in the CPF, blah blah blah, for example. All these kind of questions are very, very important to ask a potential buyer or a seller, right? So obviously, you need to ask questions in order to qualify. So what you should do, let's say, if somebody gives you too many objections, right, you have to use your own judgment, you have to use your own experience to understand and qualify the prospect. Where is he right now, right? Is he ready to buy right now? If he is ready to buy right now, then is that prospect worth your time? Is it worth your effort? Because you are going to be spending a lot of time and effort explaining to them. You don't want to keep answering every single thing only to find out that he doesn't have money, only to find out that it's not the right prospect for you, right? It doesn't make sense that way. You have to, you have a business to run. You have an income to earn, right? You have expenses to pay. So you have to have a profit center. You have to have money coming in, right? So you need to qualify the prospects properly, and objections are an opportunity for you to qualify them honestly. All right, so don't be afraid of objections. Objections are an agent's best friend. Use them. All right, don't worry. Okay, don't worry about shooting down all the objections. And by the way, there are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts out there. There's nothing right now we can delete or remove all the prospect's objections. This is natural. Human beings always have objections. Human beings have always something in their mind, something they don't like about the house, something they don't like about the bank, something they don't like about the banker, blah blah blah. It never ends, right? So your job is, okay, here's the thing, right? Your job, is not to prove them wrong. All right, your job is to actually make them feel that they are right. Okay, so you have all the skill. You took a lot of time to pass your realtor license, right? So you are an expert, right? But people feel very strongly about certain things about the home buying process. They feel very strongly about their house. Sellers are too sentimental about their house, and they get defensive when the house is not able to sell at the price that they want, right? Obviously that's an objection, right? So you have to use your judgment. You have to use your interviewing skills, right? You have to use your active listening to understand what is it that they want. You ask them questions again and again and again until you get to the root of that objection, right? So always follow one objection with 3 follow-up questions to really get to the root cause of the problem. The first 2 or first 3 answers that they give you may be BS, but maybe the 3rd or 4th answer they give you might be very close to the truth. So always keep asking questions. You are the one who is the rejecter. You are the one who is supposed to ask all the questions, right? Remember, when you go to a dentist, when you go to a doctor, they are the one who asks you a question, right? So if you go to a doctor who never asks you any question, you wouldn't go to that doctor again, right? Because obviously the doctor needs to find out from you, do you have a fever, where is the pain, for example, right? If a doctor doesn't do that, you will be scared of using that doctor too, right? Yet property agents are scared of asking questions. They leave all the control to the prospects. Prospects are the one asking all the questions. Don't let that happen. You take the control by asking questions. So that is the best way to handle objections, right? So I hope that I really answered your question, and some of the agents have been asking me how to handle objection. And in this video, I did my best to actually give them a framework of how to improve in their objection handling. And I'm definitely going to be posting a few more videos just like this. So be sure to subscribe. Be sure to follow my podcast. Be sure to get my updates at my blog YasserKhan.SG. Bye bye.